Welcome to Injector Confidential, a podcast by injectors for injectors. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Kristen.
It's been a couple weeks, guys. We're back.
We are back and better than ever.
I don't know about that. We're just being honest here. If only you guys could see our setup. We've started recording in my studio, which has actually worked out really well. But I had a moment last week when I was cleaning and I was unhinged and I got rid of a table that I never use. And then I figured out I only use it when we're recording. And like right now, I'm really missing it, and I might have to bring back some sort of collapsible mayo stand.
Yeah, we look rough.
It's pretty ratchet, I'm not gonna lie. But we're so happy to be back. We've been putting a lot of TLC into ourselves, podcast content, and today I did a little poll about what people wanted to hear for this week's episode. And the winner, well, actually, I will say the winner was my Halo laser experience, but I've made the executive decision that I want to wait to give myself the full chance to heal and have its full potential before I speak to the entire experience. Although I will say it's fucking astounding so far.
I know. I'm very impressed because it's been 6 days and you're already looking so good.
Thank you. Kristen harassed me into doing it. So
I did. We had dinner the other night.
Sure.
We had dinner the other night. And she's like, hey, this friend just texted and was like, hey, do you want to do a laser? And I was like, God damn it, Nicole, you are going to do it. She's like, I don't know. It's the recovery. I've got a patient. I was like, you're doing it.
She was like, reschedule your client going. And I'm so happy she peer pressured me into it. I'm so happy. So we're going to pause on that one, put a pin in it, and then do that when I'm fully healed. But for now, today, we are bringing you a topic that a couple of people have expressed it specifically on Instagram that they want to hear more about. And what are we chatting about today, Kristen?
We are going to talk about attracting your ideal client and how that can help you build your practice. I'm super excited about this. I've done a lot of coaching in my past, and so I've done a lot of work on developing different types of ideal clients. And so now I'm really excited to bring that into the injector space and teach you how to use your own gifts and values and authentic presence to bring in and curate the exact client that you want.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I was doing some like light research for this episode. And when you put in attracting your ideal client into Google, it's so interesting because it's mostly like marketing firms and, more corporate-y things. There's nothing about medicine.
Yeah.
So this is so unique and so special to aesthetics.
Totally, especially considering that, depending on where you're at, but us being in Southern California, the market is fairly saturated. And for the most part, we all kind of offer the same services, in the basics of toxin, filler, maybe some laser. And obviously there's some differences, but really when you think about it, if there's 5 injectors in a 10-mile radius, how do you stand out? How does a client know whether you're going to be the best fit for them? And so we're going to talk all about how to develop that. And I think to start off with, let's talk about what is an ideal client.
Working definition.
A working definition. You guys know we love those. So for today, we're going to say that an ideal client is a person whose exact needs are met through your offer. So it's not only someone who benefits from your service or your product, but someone that you want to target with your marketing. Someone that you enjoy working with and that will also benefit from your services and drive your business forward in the direction you want to go. So identifying your ideal client is going to be huge for you when you're talking about an online presence, because I think that's where a lot of us gain, besides word of mouth, a lot of us gain new clients from Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And so we're going to talk about how to create a curated presence that makes it so that you're speaking directly to your ideal client and how that's going to help grow your business.
I love that definition though, because an ideal client relationship is so reciprocal.
Yeah.
And there's benefits on both sides. So I think that's really important to understand is it's not only what you are doing for your client, but also what your client does for you. It's a two-way street.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about that in context of your business goals.
Jesus Christ. I'm going to turn off. God, all these bitches need me. Sorry, guys. What you just heard, it was in my back pocket. Jesus. It's my notification for work. That just scared
Thought
the
you were
shit
getting
out of me.
I thought you were getting a little side action over here. What's happening?
Jesus Christ. Okay, back on track.
Okay, so the importance of identifying your ideal client. So we already kind of mentioned it, but standing out in a saturated market in a way that's in alignment with your values. I know when I first started as an injector, I had major imposter syndrome, and basically I didn't want to stand out. I wanted to just go fall into the crowd, blend in with other injectors, and didn't really have a voice or didn't really have like the specific branding that I felt comfortable with putting out there to my clients. And so basically the only thing that set me apart was my pricing. And so I would get price shopped a lot, and it would be, "Oh, well, what specials are you running and how much do you charge for Botox?" Instead of it being about what am I bringing to the table and is this client going to be a good fit for me, it all became about the pricing. And so we're going to talk about changing that to help benefit you and so that your quality of life is better.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's for so many of us. We have that thought of when we first get into the industry, like, let me just put my head down and figure out if I'm even good at anything. And then hopefully my ideal client will just find me. No, we got to put some effort in both ways. Curating confidence is a different topic, but some of this does require really identifying your strengths, doing the work, and figuring out where you're going to put your attention into your practice to attract the kind of client that you want. So that will be a topic for later in this episode, though. And then, how to identify your ideal client. So it's really interesting because when we're talking about ideal clients, I think it's easy for people to say, my ideal client brings in X amount of money every time they see me, or this amount of syringes, this amount of units. That's all great. I love numbers. But I think it's also important, as we were talking about, Kristen and I, to think about how a client makes you feel when you're in your office. And Kristen actually gave me this tip when we were having a month that was a little on the like slower side. Kristen took the time and told me that she sat down and looked at her schedule and thought about all the clients that she gets excited to see and wrote down the qualities of those clients and what really made her click with them. And like really dug deep and thought, how do I attract more clients like that? And I just love that because most of us just look at our schedule and say, this is going to be a great day, but we don't really say why.
Mhm.
Pick out your favorite clients and think about why those people are your favorite clients. And you're not allowed to pick friends or family because obviously those are either going to be your favorite or your least favorite client,
Totally.
depending on the person. So with an ideal client, we have to look ahead. So it's easy to say, let's look at the present, let's look at our clients right now, but also it's just as important to look at the direction of where you want to go. It has to start with you. Even with having imposter syndrome, we all have a little bit of that. While you're working past that, you first need to know exactly it is what you do best and what you are serving and what is your niche and what's the most authentic to you and who benefits from that. So you may not know that, or it might be different at the beginning of your business. And that's okay. I can speak to that in particular. So at my last job, it was very, very lip filler heavy. And so I kind of got into the thought because that was what was on Yelp, it was what was on Google reviews, it was what was on our practice's Instagram. That was what I did the most of. And I just have a theory that you are the best at what you do all the time.
Mm.
And so I was really good at doing lips, especially with two different products that I used all the time. And so I thought that that was my ideal client because it was what I was good at. But then what I realized was so interesting months into doing 10 to 15 sets of lips a day is I didn't really love doing lips as much as I thought.
Mhm.
I love the end result. I would get so much anxiety as soon as that person left, thinking about, oh God, they're going to text me tomorrow, no matter how good my education is. Just the kind of population that we were attracting was very anxious first timers. And we all know what that's like to have somebody text you the next day, freaking out, saying, can I dissolve? And I just kind of decided when I moved into my own practice, I want to shift away from that because while that might be really rewarding for some people, it was really anxiety producing for me. So it's okay that that changes over time. And, as much as I do enjoy doing all kinds of filler and I think lip filler is an important part of the whole plan, it's not everything. And that's okay for me now.
Yeah, I love that distinction just because you do it all the time or because you're good at it. That may not be your ideal client. And so trying to figure out, looking at your schedule, thinking about the patients that you feel the most lit up by when they come in, I think asking yourself some honest questions is hugely important at the beginning of this process. And think about the clients that you're serving. And do you absolutely love the vast majority of them? And if you're not, then it's time to really start strategizing how to figure out how to reach clients who genuinely appreciate what you have to offer. And like I said, it's hard because within the injector space, for the most part, we don't have super unique offerings in this term in the sense of services, right? So think about the things that are distinctly and authentically you. So is that the actual treatment you're performing? Do you have a signature lip technique, or do you have, like Injector Bunny has her 8-point lift? Is there something that you sort of specialize in treatment wise? Is there something on the relational end with patients that you offer? For me, I really love connecting the inner and the outer journey. So my patients know we're going to have a big conversation about that. Maybe it's the bringing together of injectables and skincare. Whatever it is for you that you feel like sets you apart and that your client would appreciate about you above someone else. Basically, if you had 5 injectors all laid out in front of your client and they listed the services that they were good at, sort of the ethos of their practice or the mission statement behind their practice, and just general personality traits, what would it be about that person that would pick you basically? And so trying to identify this is so important because it's really going to dictate everything you do. So once we've gotten to this point where you're like, okay, I'm looking ahead at my business goals. What's the direction that I want to go in? How many days a week do I want to work? What kind of treatments do I want to offer? What is going to cause me to be fulfilled? Then you're going to start to study the industry. You're going to look at other injectors in your area. What are they doing? How are they successful? What are the gaps? So for me, in my area, there wasn't a lot of injectors that did anything beyond just the basic med spa stuff. And so I really wanted to create a practice where I'm curating relationships. And you know what? There's some people that just doesn't work for, and there's certain clients that they aren't interested in that, and that's totally fine. And what I've found is that the more authentically I show up on social media, and we'll talk about this in a minute, I'm getting a little off track here, but the
No, keep
more
going. I love it.
the more authentically you show up on social media, you're going to either attract or repel those ideal clients. And you're going to be able to, the more that I get on there and I talk about, an inner journey of beauty, either some clients are going to be like, ew, gross. And then they're not going to book with me, which is okay. Like I used to take that personally and thought my job was to get as many clients as I could. Now I'm realizing it's totally quality over quantity, and that I would rather repel clients and have them go somewhere else than for me to be unhappy in my day-to-day practice.
Oh, totally. You can be a client repeller. Trust me, you will love yourself for it in the end. It is quality over quantity for sure. And I will say I have a little bone to pick that I've been seeing in the industry. And Kristen, I want your opinion. So the trendiest term right now is facial balancing. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Facial balancing. So you know why I think that that's trendy?
Hmm.
Because it directly equates to syringe number. Think about it.
Uh,
Facial balancing,
yeah,
you're
'cause
going to need several syringes.
right.
Yeah. So personally, I love that the industry has gone away from just like focal treatments of just lips, just chin. And now is thinking about like the whole face. But I think for a newer injector to say, I specialize in facial balancing, I just think that
That's interesting.
it's just, I just don't feel like that's something that as a novice, you can say that you specialize in.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
would
I
agree with
mean?
that because I even find myself still pretty, like, focal with my, like, "Okay,
Totally.
you're gonna need cheek and chin," or, like, you know what I mean?
Right,
And
and I
I
just think that's something that you curate, like, even
yeah.
I just think once again, Injector Bunny fangirl over here, she doesn't even say she specializes in facial
No,
balancing.
I mean, but
You
do
know what I
is
mean?
that what she's kind of doing with her 8-point lift? She doesn't
Yeah,
call it that, but
yeah, but
she
she says we're treating several areas of the face to make sure that they are in harmony. But part of
mm,
me thinks that that is a marketing technique
yeah,
that because it gets people to say, "I'm balancing my facial features, I should spend several syringes."
totally.
So, whereas, upfront, I think people do get driven by the upfront price
Mm,
rather than the long-term goal. Like, for example, I will say for myself, with the lip filler experience, I realized that those are clients that will see me once a year and they may not remember me enough from that one experience, if they reach their desired goal in one treatment, they may come back to me, they may not, but we don't have that continued contact like I do with my toxin patient,
Sure.
with my Botox, Dysport, and Xeomin. Yes, guys, I started using Xeomin. It's going well.
Yeah, same.
It's going well. So, it's trial and error that way, but I do think, like, think about what you are actually saying is your specialty. And if you, this sounds rude, but like, if you're actually have experience in it to back up what you're saying,
Totally.
you know what I mean?
Totally. Otherwise, it's false advertising, right?
Yeah, we just want to be honest. And you know what? Just because maybe you don't have to go from 0 to 100. If you wanting to be nerdy, there is a great book that I actually read in nursing school. It's by I can't remember her first name. Her last name's Benner. It's called From Novice to Expert. And it talks about what the differences are in technicalities, in how you approach your work, and how you approach your career from a novice, and how you move to being an expert, and not so much how you make that happen, but how it naturally happens. And so I think that for a novice to say they specialize in facial balancing is false advertising, because you don't know how to balance facial features
Mhm.
until you've been doing it for a while.
Totally.
So
Totally.
keep those things in mind. Don't say what's trendy, say what's authentic to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's this balance when you're trying to think of your ideal client of like what lights you up and like how do you want to practice and also what the general public is needing, and like we're here to solve a problem. That's the most successful coaches, injectors, all of that. If you brand yourself in a way that I'm solving a problem, that you're going to get that many more clients. But I think it's interesting that as we do that, we get so much locked into this scarcity mindset of if we pick a niche, then
Mhm.
like
We're
we're
pigeonholing
we're
ourselves.
pigeonhole exactly. When I've yet to see that be the case. So like in a world filled with injectors, and in our areas, there's definitely plenty of injectors. If they just see like, oh yeah, aesthetic injector San Diego, like, there's nothing unless there's been an actual referral given, there's nothing that makes that person stand out. But when they see that, like, I am a Temecula-based injector that specializes in facial rejuvenation
I
for
was like,
women.
if you say facial balancing,
What happened in my mind?
I was like, I'm gonna feel like an absolute dick because Kristen's an amazing injector and she could say facial balancing.
No, 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 but I had that in my mind. I'm like, "Shit, shit, shit. What else do I say?"
No, but you're like facial harmonizing, I would say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't even know. That's
Full
to me
face
so
treatment.
tricky. I don't know. Maybe that's just me as an injector, like, needing to, like, actually improve my skills a little bit.
No, 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 because I think that it just marries with the fact that you really do work from inside out. So
Yeah.
that and then takes into account the whole person. So you can say that because you are actually balancing the inside with the outside.
Thank you. Dominating your fucking lives, bitches.
Yeah, we're harmonizing. And then I'll just tell you where she can send her invoice to you
Yeah.
for her therapy session every time. And, I think that the whole referral thing is, oh, wait, on the topic, I love that you said, I am an injector in Temecula. And it sounds stupid, but it's almost like your mission statement.
Yes.
So if you don't already, I think that a really great way to attract your ideal clients and legitimize yourself really is by having your own website. So that
Mm.
you've just put the time in, made yourself or hire out. It really solidifies your identity, even if it's just, this is my about me and this is where to book with, whatever, just as simple as that, because you can put your mission statement in your bio in a way that you can't in an Instagram bio. It doesn't
Totally.
get lost on your Instagram post. So for me personally, if you look at letstalksaboutit.com, you'll see my bio and you get to see my why right there in my
Yeah.
bio. And I know Kristen's is the same way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And there's like things on my website that I put on there that are reflective of my personality, like pre and post procedure instructions. Like there's different little things that you can click on that like show what I value as an injector also.
Yeah, and I don't promote it a whole lot on my social media, but like I also have my blog posts that I put a lot of time and effort into.
Mhm.
And my ideal client actually reads my blog posts.
Right.
I don't know what's that. That sounds dumb, but it means they value education and they value understanding the why and being at the forefront of knowing what's best or why a treatment fits or doesn't fit. And they also value what I have to say. It's okay to think about yourself with these things, guys. My ideal client is also always a referral
Oh, interesting.
or
Yeah.
a TikTok. TikTok is a referral for me.
Yeah. Totally, because 'cause they're seeing a pretty authentic side of you.
Yeah, 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 totally. And then also to consider when you're thinking about your ideal client outside of your mission statement.
Yeah, they really think about where do they live? What influences their buying decisions? Who are they following on Instagram? Whether that's not just injectors, but celebrities, Instagram influencers, like what is their ideal vision of beauty? Where do they hang out online? What do they do? What do they value? How old are they? What's their marital status? What's their income? When you really, I know it sounds silly, but when you really almost create this ideal client avatar, like a person in your mind of exactly what their life looks like, what are their daily pain points, when they look in the mirror, how do they look, feel, all of those things, then when you show up on Instagram, you are going to show up in a way that they feel seen and heard. And they're going to feel already connected to you. And I would say that that's probably when I realized this, that was the turning point in my practice and just my effort level. I was no longer trying to sit there with a social media content calendar and just think about, oh, okay, well, like, well, what do I come up with and what do I put on here? It was like, okay, what does my ideal client need to hear today? And what questions am I getting in my practice? What DMs am I getting? And then suddenly I'm able to shift my content to match that. And now all of a sudden, not only is my ideal client feel seen and heard and connected to me, but the actual amount of work I've done has gone down because I'm not getting DMs, I'm not getting texts, I'm not having to answer the same question over and over again. I've done the work in the forefront and it's made a huge difference for me.
Yeah, I actually love what you said about who they follow online.
Yeah.
If I see somebody also follows the housewives, I'm like, oh, my homies.
Right?
Maybe Lisa Rinna isn't their ideal side of beauty, but I'm like, we have something to vibe about immediately.
Totally.
Similar interests really do take you far away. And that doesn't mean that your ideal client has to be exactly like you. I would say my ideal client is actually pretty different from me.
Mm.
But I just like when you can connect and kind of meet someone in the same space. Like, for example, Kristen does really well with moms and moms that need a glow up. I love moms as well, but I'm not a mom yet. So I can't relate in the same way that Kristen can. And I would say that's also part of Kristen's niche too, especially being a single mom. So, you know, keep count of those things.
Totally. Yeah. So there's a quote that says the riches are in the niches. And like we kind of said before, scarcity mindset will make you believe that by identifying a niche that you are taking away clients. But truthfully, you're just opening the door for the right kind of client. And so once you are able to decide what that niche market looks like, you're going to be able to decipher who you're speaking to and you're going to be able to speak more clearly to them. And Nicole has done an amazing job of that on TikTok.
Oh man, you're gassing me up. Okay, so definitely I will say like my biggest fear with the whole niche thing, niche, you know me, I'm Francophile with my French fluency, so we'll go niche. So the fear with niche is like what we were talking about is that you're going to pigeonhole or limit yourself. And you know where this goes back to? This goes back, I'll speak to nurses. This goes back to nursing school when they told us that we couldn't specialize right off the bat and that we all had to work med surg.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And it's such bullshit.
Oh my gosh. Are new nurses still told that?
No, I think it depends. It's more normal to like, do ICU residencies and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I got major, major shame by going into
Oh, for
pediatrics.
sure.
Like, really, what are you learning on med surg other than like time management that you would be learning in your niche,
Yeah.
with your brain being fresh as a new grad? Anyways, I digress. So I think that that is like ingrained in us. So that's why we're like, no, I need to be good at everything. No, that's also why there's different kinds of surgeons.
Yep.
There's not a
Yeah.
surgeon that does plastic surgery in addition to like GI surgery. They're not also doing hernias. Well, maybe they are with plastic surgeons. I don't know. Kristen can speak to that more than me. But, anyways, I have found that my most success has been in finding a niche. And for me, that was putting myself scarily, authentically out there on TikTok. With TikTok, it's been really interesting because I do have some like funny posts that go viral, but for the most part, they're my educational posts where I address things that are happening in the media, such as eyelid ptosis,
Mm.
lip filler migration, slugging, under eye filler. Those are the people that get brought to me, are people that see that. And then they watch some of my other videos and then they come to me because I always ask, you guys know, I keep track of how clients find me. And they say, I found you on TikTok and I gravitated towards you because you explain the why and you make it
Yeah.
understandable. And so I found that those are my people that are a little nerdy like me and want the best outcome because they're invested in the process.
Totally. My question, this is like gonna be another episode, but like, how do people on TikTok, how do you like, do you just show up on their algorithm, like on their
Dude,
For You
yeah,
page?
just show up on the
And it
For You
just happens
page.
to be that you're local.
Yeah.
So you don't really have control over who sees it. It's just become a good
No, it's
for you.
probably because they were on under eye filler TikTok and then,
Gotcha.
you just pop up. I
And you
mean,
just happen to be in the area
you
that they
happen to
live.
be, yeah, and within that hashtag, maybe they interacted with a post. It's so fascinating, really. It's how that works and how it's really I never expected to make money off of TikTok, but it's actually really worked well. I mean, patients also find Kristen from social media frequently, right?
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
I think one person found me through TikTok and I was like astonished because I don't like I do TikTok mostly just because I think it's really fun and I don't do anything educational. That's my goal this year is to work on that. I do mostly all just the trending sounds and funny stuff because my patients think it's hilarious. But
I do the opposite. I'm so bad. And this week I haven't been able to do any TikToks because I looked like crispy bacon and I knew that people were going to come for me and be like, what's wrong with her face? Even if I had it in like disclaimer, I just got halo laser done. Like I just wasn't, I was like, man, I'll wait until I'm a little less baked potato, a little less French fry.
oh my
Okay,
god.
Kristen. So on the topic, what would you say your niche is?
Okay, so my like
And
ideal
did you start there?
client. Good
Has it changed?
question. Good question. Okay, so my ideal client now is I'm going to give you my ideal client avatar. It's a woman in between 35 and 45 who is a mom who has a second income. Like her job, she works, but it's a second income. She has a very supportive husband. She's got a couple kids. Basically, she's just kind of like, she's like, maybe has some idea of Botox and fillers but really hasn't done much. She's really neglected her self-care over the years, and she's, like, really ready to put some effort into herself, and maybe there's been a life change that's a catalyst there, but she's finally ready. Really, budget is no object, and I don't say that just because that makes my job easier, but she's not looking for a deal. She's looking for expertise,
She's
and
going for the result.
she's going for the result. She knows it's not just a one and done treatment. She's ready for like the long haul. I always joke with my patients, it's not a one night stand, it's a long-term relationship. And so she understands that concept. She follows my pre and post instructions. So that's what when I think of, and I have several clients who fit
I
into
would
that.
say that's like your entire clientele
Yeah.
knowing you.
Yeah, that's the majority. And the people that I can have a deeper conversation with who are interested in like sharing parts of their life with me because I feel like that makes us more connected and makes
Yeah.
them feel more comfortable. Like if there was an issue with their result that they would tell me. And so now has that always been my ideal client? No. In the first practice I worked in, it was just like really both practices I worked in. I just sort of had to take whatever I got. I do feel like the first practice I worked in, just because of the values of the surgeons I worked with, I do feel like it was pretty close to that. But working in plastic surgery, I'm sure some of you guys know this, there's also like a different expectation, and some of the people aren't very kind. And the second place I worked in was so influencer heavy, and they did half syringes for lips, and the mentality was so different. People would come in and they'd be like, I want half of a syringe for a lip pop or whatever they called it.
It's so funny. They always come back for the other half.
They always come back into their half.
That's
And I'm like, okay,
I was like, I'm
really?
not doing this anymore.
Totally. And that's actually part of the reason why I left because I'm like, I cannot
And it's just as much work as a full syringe.
totally. Well, and like, so what was happening was not only was I having a lot of days where I was not really interacting with my ideal client at all, but the clients that I had already established that had followed me to this other practice, they were turned off by the social media, by the office.
Way.
I had for
What a different vibe though for
Yes.
plastic surgery.
Yes,
I
because for
didn't even think
5
about that.
years, I curated this relationship with my patients that was authentic. It wasn't showy. It was like very personal, one-on-one. And then all of a sudden, I'm at this place where it's like influencers, and they knew their ideal client. Like, there is no shade to them because they were doing this exact thing.
Mhm.
We just weren't in alignment with what that looked like.
I'm
And
just
so,
imagining too in plastic surgery where you had to go from wearing heels every day
yeah.
to then in your next one wearing scrubs every day.
Yeah.
It also changes how you present yourself because as we've
Oh,
talked about before, scrubs are
totally.
not your vibe and they're not my vibe.
Totally. And my ideal client is kind of turned off by that. They don't want a
Totally.
medical setting feeling. My ideal client likes when I show up wearing something trendy. They want to know where I got my shoes from. They want to, they like that.
Kristen wears heels to work. She's an overachiever.
But I do always have a change of shoes just in case.
Yeah, well, she's doing the work. She's doing the most. I am not.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What about your ideal client?
Okay,
Maybe
so it's
someone
so
about
funny.
education.
Yes. Okay, so my ideal client is age 27 to 35. That's my ideal starting client, age 27 to 35, and is a female, values education in whatever way. That doesn't mean you need to have a PhD, it just values being informed.
I like that.
Starts off with neurotoxins.
Okay.
That's you guys know by my name alone. You may have not picked up on this, but yeah, toxins are absolutely my niche. I love doing wrinkle relaxers, and that's my thing. I think that that's the backbone to everybody's aesthetic journey, and you can do so much. And people skim past it because they want the big bucks of filler and the big off the immediate gratification of filler. I'm telling you, my practice exploded once I started saying, my name's Nicole. I work in Bird Rock and I am going to be the best in La Jolla at wrinkle relaxers. That's a side note, but that was my mission statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's really paid off. So that 27 to 35-year-old female who is a young professional, she is maybe single, maybe in a long-term relationship, maybe engaged, maybe married. Doesn't really matter for relationship status. I find a lot of my clients though come to me in the single phase and then they meet a guy and then eventually I'm helping them get ready for their wedding.
Oh,
I
awesome.
love it though. Young professional. A lot of my clients seem to be healthcare professionals, which I also love. Like I love my nurses and I love my physicians, love my RTs, love you all, but really just values that long-term relationship. Same with me, values humor
Yes.
because we all know that I'm kind of goofy.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I swear, like,
You too. Yeah, my
and it's
just to
just,
be okay with me telling them dating stories.
yes. Doesn't want a medical experience. And
Yeah.
like what Kristen said, is in it for the result. I try to tell people, especially with wrinkle relaxers, I say, don't focus on the number of units, the number of syringes. We're going for a result here. And the way that I like to think about that is when you're buying pants, don't look at the size. The best result is when you're looking in the mirror and saying, how do I feel? And what kind of result is this going to get me? And am I going to feel wearing these pants in the long run? Botox is the same way. Don't look at the number. Just think about what the result is going to be.
Oh, I
If you get
like
too
that.
small of pants, you're going to be like, what the fuck did I buy these?
Right, and you're never gonna wear them.
You're never going to wear them again. You're going to resent those because you're going to be like, well, then I forgot to return them. I'm never going back to that store.
Right.
The same thing. And I love my clients too that follow my recommendations. They incorporate skincare and they get their wrinkle relaxers every 3 to 4 months.
Yes.
Those are my favorites.
Yeah.
Start small. I'm telling you, if you start small and you curate those relationships in whatever way feels most authentic to you. So I've worked with people in the past that are extremely professional and maybe that worked for them and not sharing very much about themselves is what felt
Mhm.
the most authentic. I personally don't get that because I don't share a whole lot about myself. The appointment's not about me, but I think if somebody is sharing intimate details about their life with me, not because I'm asking, but just because we have that kind of relationship, I should be able to relate in a certain way.
Totally.
Like if they talk about their pets, I'm going to talk about my dog.
Mhm.
That kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that makes people want to come back. Early on, somebody told me they're not coming for the Botox. They're also coming to see you.
Yeah.
And I really remembered that. Another really great resource too, if you're wanting to learn about attracting ideal clients is from your glam squad. Talk to your brow girl, talk to your lash girl, talk to your hairstylist and say, how do you go about doing that? What's your ideal client look like and how has it worked for you to attract those people, what's not worked. I will say that as if people see my TikTok and they don't like the way I speak, then they're doing me a favor, because if they don't want, if they're like, yeah, whatever, I don't want to hear your explanation, just get started.
Mm.
I'm like, no, you will sit here, sit next to me with the mirror in your hand, and we are going to talk about your glabella. You know what I mean? And if they're not into that and they want that kind of transaction, I'm glad that they didn't come to me.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
I know. Isn't it funny though, how we kind of have same but different clientele?
Yeah.
I know you have the more grown up clientele.
Yeah. But I've got the
I have the grown up version of mine.
yeah, I have your clientele in 10 years.
You do have my clientele in 10 years. I freaking love it. I
Oh
know.
my gosh, that's so funny.
It is. And the other people to talk to also, I just know this from me picking other business owners' brains, boutique fitness studios.
Yes.
That's another part of my ideal client that I figured out, is that my ideal client also spends money on fitness. Because they value their inner health and their physical health as much as they value their face. And they take care of their whole body. So it's not saying that I only take people of a certain body type. That would be stupid. It's just saying that what's their priority.
Totally. What are they willing to spend money on?
Yeah. Are they involved in the community? That kind of jazz.
Yeah. And it's not like we have a questionnaire that asks patients all these questions.
No.
And then we say, oh, sorry, can't see you if you don't check the boxes. It's just more when we're talking about creating a presence, or even too, when you're just consulting with a new client and you're like, I can tell this is not going to be the good fit. When you have a better sense of yourself, you're able to tell that, and then you're able to communicate to the client, like, I just don't think I'm going to be the right fit for you. But if you don't even have a sense of who you are, what your values are, or the type of client you want to work with, you're going to end up accepting any and all people, and it's not going to be a good situation for you or for them.
Yeah, it's okay to be picky, and you can be picky the same way you can be picky about what specialty you start in after school. And also, I'm going to be the first person to say that it's totally fine if some of your clients then organically become your friends.
Totally.
That's happened to me a couple times. The prime example is one of my best girlfriends, Bree, that owns her microblading studio. Like, she started out as my client.
So I didn't know she started out as your client.
She started out as my client. And then we figured out that we're the same person. And now we have this beautiful partnership and friendship. So, like, if that feels authentic to you, open yourself up to it. Sometimes workplaces have weird rules about it, though.
I know.
No fraternizing with clients.
Definitely a lot of friends with a lot of my clients.
But it doesn't impede with your professional ability to
and it's not time off like getting drunk with them or like nothing like that. Just, like we just connect on social media, or like we'll text each other. Or
yeah. And through some of my like really hard times personally, it's really nice to know that you have clients that are not only there to show up for their appointments, but they're willing to show up for you.
Totally.
In those times where maybe you feel alone, or, I think that it's an important, if that feels good to you, I think that you should run with it. And that feels good to me.
Yeah.
That. Love it. Well, if you guys have any strategies, once again, I always sound like I'm fishing for people's.
We are.
I am fishing though. I just want to share. I want to share this. If you guys have found a specific great way or strategy of attracting your ideal client or determining it, or if you have listened to a great podcast, I'll be totally honest, I haven't listened to a lot of podcasts about attracting my ideal client. I would love to know more if you've read a great book about it.
I'll link. Jenna Kutcher has a really good
she's a boss.
Podcast episode on attracting your ideal client. So I will link that in the show notes.
Is it free?
The podcast episode?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. She makes a shitload of money because she's really good at what she does. I'm like, God damn.
Yeah.
She's ahead of her time.
Yeah, she was. I know, because the podcast episode is actually from like 5 years ago.
Oh, shit.
Really good.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to listen to that too. But we hope you guys found this helpful and have a fantastic week.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
See ya.